Alright guys, so this is part 3 of my Mugen MBX6R build, and it's funny because ironically I had planned on doing the build in one video, but as I got more into it and I started rambling, I decided, what the hell, let's just make this the official MBX6R build video, because I don't think there's one out there. I had definitely planned on getting it done at least this week, but I ran into a few snags, which I guess is to be expected anytime you build a kit. So you can take a look at this video and see what I've done so far and see how I got there, and then see the little snags that I've run into. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Enjoy it. Okay, so I got the clutch set up on there, and you can see I'm going with 0.95 springs just to try that out. I usually run 1.0, but I figured this is going to have quite a bit of bottom end power, so we'll see how that works. Additionally, it's a pretty interesting setup. I may do a kind of a how-to video or something later, but it's a lot different than any other clutch that I've put on, and I'll be excited to see how it works. Now we put the clutch bell on and fine-tune the shimming and all that good stuff. Okay, so I got the shimming down on it. I'll just hold it here and let you guys enjoy free spinning movement of a nice clutch bell. I actually elected to go with just a little bit of play, maybe 0.5 millimeter. So I think we'll be fine with that. Okay, so I believe I found what is, I hope, the first mistake that I've made on this build. Essentially, I went to mount the motor, and I decided I was going to get the gear mesh set. I wasn't going to do it perfect, but I wanted to at least have it meshed. And for some reason, I couldn't get the gear mesh down. Well, to me, gear mesh is very simple. I don't know why people struggle at it, but the whole idea, obviously, is you just want to get as little of play as you can between the gears, but still have play. But you want as little as play as you can, and basically when you roll it, you shouldn't even hear it. But for whatever reason, I couldn't get that done. And I won't go into all the gory details of the steps that I went through, but essentially what was happening is I was getting play when I moved the spur gear. I was feeling play on the teeth, but the clutch bell wouldn't move. And so when you move the clutch bell, it felt like it was too tight. So, you know, like it is when you have your gear mesh too tight and you can't move your clutch bell. But underneath the spur gear, I was able to move it and there was play. And what happened is, if you look down here, where I'm pointing, at the bottom of this center diff housing, it's got this lip that's coming out right here. That actually should be, it's facing the wrong direction, so it should be turned around. So the other side of it, I'm hoping, is going, and I can kind of see it now, the other side of it is flush, and so I'll have clearance right here for the clutch bell. So I'm pretty sure that will fix it. So now I get to take the center diff out and the brake assembly apart and redo it, which is no big deal because this is something I'm going to be doing a lot anyways. And just goes to show you that on these kits, man, if you miss one thing, if you get one thing facing the wrong direction or just not right, it's going to have a ripple effect, and somewhere it's going to come back and haunt you. And to me, that's kind of the cool thing about these kits, because when you do get them down, you know that you really accomplished something. Okay, so that completely fixed it. Taking out the diff housing and I guess changing up what I needed to. And you can see here now I have pretty much near perfect mesh on it. Ironically, I'm just going to go ahead and take the engine right off now and put the pipe on it and figure out how the hell I'm going to be able to fit this pipe on there, because I'm anticipating that's going to be a bit of a struggle, but we'll see, hopefully not. So one thing that I've learned about this work setup is that the manifold to engine spring setup is a little bit different, and they actually came with these like small springs that were, I don't know, yay big. Certainly not what I'm used to that you wrap around the engine. And I was thinking, what the hell? Why are they so small, and how am I going to wrap it around the engine and all that? And then I noticed, because there's actually in the back, there's 2 holes. So I thought, okay, cool, they give you 2 springs to wrap around the engine. But then, after looking at it, I noticed the way that you do it is you actually just go from here to here on each side. So that's a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and order a set of these springs, because if I'm going to be popping this engine off and stuff, they are a beating to put on, and I'm sure I'm going to probably need a good set of them, because I'll probably jack some up, I'm sure. But so additionally, I want 2 more, because there's 2 more holes, and I want to get it down there, even though this thing is sealed on there pretty good. And for here, I've just got 2 more springs to put on. That's no big deal. Other than that, we're looking good. All right, so it's on its work stand for the very first time, which is, you know, kind of a cool thing, because it's going to be on this stand a lot. Good news, bad news. I was able to get, obviously, the engine and pipe and everything mounted, and the good news is it fit. I was actually a little bit worried, because I had read and heard that with this setup it could be a little tricky. The bad news is it is definitely pressed up against the stone guard here. It's not impeding it in any way, so, you know, I guess if anything, maybe that post I could get a little bit higher. You know, I could get it down. It's not flush all the way down, but as long as I use, thread lock, I should be fine. But again, it's not stopping. I mean, it's where I want it to be, but it is definitely pressed up against this stone guard. So I gotta do a little research to see if there are any sort of adverse effects to that. I'm thinking worst case scenario, it's just going to burn this. And so if I have to, I can cut a little piece here. But even that, I'm not sure I want to do, just because, I don't know. I just don't want to. So, I don't know. We'll see. All right, I got it bound, so let's take a look here and see how violent that High-Tech 7955 is, and let's see how fast this Savox is. See it? I'll do it again. That's looking pretty sweet. I'm probably going to get an aluminum horn for this right here. Ironically, Savox, this one didn't even come with a single arm or a double arm, especially for one that's, you would think is meant for a throttle, but that's no big deal. I just took this one from the D8T, because it's a 25 spline count horn. Let's see, right here you can see I've got covers on still. Works didn't come with any covers. This is from the OS, and this fuel inlet right here, just a little tip for you guys, you can just use an antenna tube. That's what I use, and that's always worked great for me. Speaking of antennas, this one is not long enough to come out here. It comes out to about here, can't even hold itself upright. So as we approach our 500th subscriber, what I'm going to do is give away this antenna tube that I don't need. So that'll be pretty cool. And let's see if there's anything else. I guess that's it. Coming up next is the linkage, and that's always a beating, if you ask me. It's not that I don't know how to do it, because I've put on a lot of linkages and had to rebuild a lot of them and whatnot. I just don't like doing it, because you have to get it just right. And so this one will probably take me a few hours to get that down, and I'm going to have to take a lot of these components out, because I've actually got to get under here to do some stuff. So it'll be interesting. Always a fun challenge, I guess. So that's it, and we will show you the links next. Okay, so on the links, one interesting tidbit, it's kind of hard to explain, but really what's happened is this hole, this outer hole right here, where the throttle linkage will go, is a little bit small for this screw. I get the screw in actually no problem, but what's happened is there's a lot of friction. It's not smooth, so obviously you want it smooth, and so I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and try to open up this hole some, but you can see there's really not a lot of room between that, so we'll see how that works out. Okay, at this state, I'm pretty much screwed. I'm going to have to get another throttle servo horn, and the reason for that, again, it's kind of hard to explain, but this outer hole right here needs to be 3 millimeters, and so what's happened is the screw that comes with this it's a tight fit. I mean, it fits in there perfectly, but it's snug when it's turning. So you would think, okay, well, the solution is to just get a thinner screw, but the problem is it has to go into this which actually does use this screw. So I think what I'll do is just have to make a trip down to my local hobby shop and talk to my guy there, and I'm certain that he will hook me up. And in the event anyone is curious why I don't just open that up, the hole up like I had originally planned, you can see there's just no room. And if I open it up any much further, it's just going to cut into that next hole, and I certainly don't want that. So that is that for now. So I'm definitely bummed about it, but it's going to delay, obviously, me breaking it in. However, there's one other issue. I don't know if I talked about it or not, but this pipe right here is pressing against the stone guard. And I really have three choices that I know of. And the first one is what I did, and that is I ordered some heat shield tape from Summit Racing that I'm just going to put all along the bottom there so it won't melt the stone guard. If that doesn't work, what I can do is look at dremeling and cutting this right under here, but that would still be a pretty invasive cut. And finally, if that doesn't work, they do actually make Mugen specific manifolds that I can put on here, because obviously it's been a problem fitting pipes on here. So that's going to be here next week anyways. And so until then, the next video, you will definitely see it up and running. I'm getting close, guys, I promise you. I've got the tires, I've got everything I need at this point except for the heat shield tape and that throttle servo horn. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.